Okay, well, welcome everyone to the first workshop of the Chrysalis Project, Transforming Together. I'm so excited you're all here, and gosh, what a warm welcome that I was not expecting. Thank you so much, everyone. You're just really, this whole community is so dear to my heart. I just feel very grateful and warm and full of love right now, so thanks. We're going to be going through a lot today. I'm just really quick going to go through a few little housekeeping things here. We'll see if we can get my PowerPoint up and going. While we are doing this presentation, we're going to ask that you stay muted during this time, just so that there's less background noise and confusion. And Lynn, can you give me a shout out? Is the PowerPoint showing right now?
Yes, it is.
Wonderful. All right, so let's get started then. Well, so first of all, technology news. This is all new to many of us, so thank you for bearing with us around this. If you do have tech problems, please, you can use the chat box in the lower portion of your screen. It's a little bubble there, and you should be able to chat directly with Sheila Wilson, our co-host. Sheila, do you want to say hi real quick? Introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sheila, longtime friend and fan of Carrie, and really happy to be here with everybody this morning.
I'm going to get like this really big head with all these nice things. If you're really having problems, sometimes just leaving the meeting and rejoining is the easiest thing to do. Lynn Fitzhugh is going to be moderating this so that, while throughout the presentation here, I'm going to kind of hold questions until the end, but I'll have a couple times where we'll stop and Lynn will share some questions if there are some in the chat box. So feel free to, if you have questions along the way, you can type them into the chat box. That also should be on the bottom of your screen. And you can type either to everybody or just to one of the co-hosts, I believe. And also feel free to jot down those questions as we go along. Lynn, you want to say hi real quick?
I do. And also Evan has a question. So I'm unmuting Evan. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say that the chat says it's disabled, so we're unable to type in it.
Ah, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Sheila, can you fix that?
I'm working on, yeah.
Okay, great.
I think I might have just fixed it. Is it better now?
Yes, I can access it. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yes.
Always something comes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So see if I can forward my slide here. Also, so I'm working for Thurston Climate Action Team right now. They are the reason that this workshop is possible, and I'm just so grateful to them. They're doing such amazing work in the community. So big thank you to them for helping to make this possible today. And also want to give out a big shout to our collaborators, especially the youth climate leaders who have helped to bring this together. And Kaylee was maybe going to say a couple words real quick. Do you want to, if you can unmute Kaylee?
So I've unmuted myself.
Great. Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us. We're really glad to be here. We can finally do something. We can take action in our homes to honor Earth Day, even though a lot of our climate events have been canceled. So yeah, we're just really grateful for this opportunity, and we're really excited.
Yay. Thanks, Kaylee. All right. So just want to give you a brief introduction about myself, and then we'll go into the project. So aside from my work with TCAT, I'm also, as many of you know, an artist and environmental educator. And I love to work with lots and lots of people around different types of environmental and social justice issues to really learn about those and explore them through art. I try to get everybody to make a piece of art and then make that be part of a larger installation to try to help create more change in the community. And just briefly want to highlight the Plastic Whale Project, because that was one project that was really shows the power of this kind of work. I did this in 2012. I worked with about 900 youth and adults learning about plastics, and then everybody made part of this life-size gray whale made out of plastic bags and other trash. And what I found was so amazing about this, well, so many things, but we did this project during our outreach around plastic bags when we were deciding as a community whether to ban them or not. And it was really, I think, influential in that ban being passed. So there were actually a number of council members who invited me to bring the whale to their council meetings. I didn't do that for obvious reasons. But even more importantly, a number of youth that I worked with expressed that they were felt like they were personally responsible for that ban on bags. And so for me, I realized like how powerful this kind of project can be. And I think that's exactly what we can do today, right? We can work together to create something beautiful and meaningful and powerful to help to amplify each of our voices. So in the workshop today, I am going to be talking about the climate crisis. And I'm going to be comparing that a little bit to what we're going through right now with the pandemic. We'll be learning a lot about butterflies, which I think will be really fun. And we'll be writing letters to our representatives, so we'll be taking direct action. Happy Earth Week, everyone. I know a lot of events have been canceled, and that's really hard, but we can still get together in solidarity and do something for the environment. And really, this is like, what we're doing today is kind of hearkening back to what the roots of Earth Day were 50 years ago, taking direct action to create change. So let's celebrate and let's take that direct action together. So along with your letters, you'll each have an opportunity to create a visual representation of this future you want to see, and we'll incorporate that into the writing to make a strong visual and written message to our local elected officials. And I know some of you are out of town, and so you can really like make that be for the people who are doing the work in your area. We'll also have some time to do some visualization and reflection throughout the workshop, so we'll really kind of dive deep into all of this. So I'd like to acknowledge briefly that we're in a really hard place right now. I mean, we're obviously in the midst of this pandemic, and many of us, I'm sure, are having a lot of different feelings come up around this. I know you may be feeling isolated or scared, you may be having grief, you may be economically unsure of what's going to happen in the future, and like that's totally normal, right? There's obviously a lot of feelings are going to come up, and I just want to point out that that's like a normal thing that we're having, all of these people. I'm seeing a message here from Sheila that she's not. Are you seeing, Sheila, are you seeing my face?
I'm seeing everyone's faces. Are we supposed to be seeing your presentation right now?
So I'm going to bounce back and forth between the slides and then actually just talking to people. And so to get the best experience out of this, I would actually suggest that people use the active speaker view. So if you look on the top right-hand corner of your screen, there's like a gallery view, which is a bunch of little squares, and then you can switch out of that into speaker view, and you'll probably get the best view with that. Does that work? Great. All right. So I know I've had a lot of these feelings come up myself, and like, it sucks. And I've been just doing my best to sit with them and let them move through me and see what comes out of the other side. And also, while we are so physically separated right now, we are also together and connected in a way that I don't think we ever have been before, at least not in my lifetime. The entire world is experiencing this pandemic. And so like we are experiencing something as a collective human species right now, which is really interesting. And for me, like this has become just a really sacred time to reflect on my own personal, ways I am in the world, and also how I can impact the world in a new and greater way and connect in different ways as well. So one of the things that I think is, this pandemic is really giving us a glimpse into what can happen in the future with the climate crisis. So I'm going to share some photos as I talk here for a little bit. So when I think about the climate crisis, I think about hurricanes, forest fires, I think about floods, I think about these extreme weather events, I think about drought, I think about exponential rainfall, all these things. And they are, as we know, already happening around the world in differing ways depending on where people are. But I can encourage you too to think about like, what are some things that you're seeing as relationships between what's happening with the pandemic now and what could be in our future with climate change? If you feel like it, go ahead and jot some things down in the chat box, or just take some notes. And I encourage you also to take your own notes as we go through so that you can refer back to these when we're making art as well. So some things also that I'm seeing as relationships between the pandemic and the climate crisis are obviously the disease, right? So we're experiencing this pandemic, And infectious diseases are likely to be much more increased as the climate crisis gets more and more dire. The economic distress that we're experiencing right now is huge, and that is only going to be exacerbated with climate change. You know, we're really being able to, with this pandemic, it's really like opening the curtains, pulling back the curtains on a lot of the equity issues that we're experiencing in our country and around the world. And they're really just seeing the lack of safety nets for the frontline communities, the people of color, the people who are most vulnerable to these experiences. In our community, we aren't experiencing a ton of food shortages, but there are blocks in the supply chain, and there are other places where the food shortages are really getting quite dire. And this is the type of thing we can expect a lot more of with climate change. Now, with climate change, I expect that most of the impacts will be more localized. They won't be at such a global scale, at least for a while. But you know, they are going to continue to hit those frontline communities harder, and we can't forget how interconnected we are as a world, right? I mean, a lot of our medicines and things come from places like China, and like if China is closed down, for instance, where are we going to get our medicines? So we need to be looking at things like this and how we want to move forward in the future. Now, as you know, we're already experiencing climate change, but it's not too late to act to prevent the worst impacts. But we really need to act now. I mean, the impacts of the climate crisis will be much longer than what the pandemic is. Even though what we're experiencing now, it feels so big and so long, it's going to pass within, you know, a relatively short amount of time. The economy will rebuild itself, and we will move forward. So it's not exactly the same with the climate crisis. At some point, there won't be a turning back. You know, I think that this pandemic has already taught me a lot of things. We've learned quite a bit about, you know, how we need to listen to science. I'm not an epidemiologist, so I don't know much about pandemics, and so I get to listen to the experts and learn from them. We've learned in such a deep way that we need to take care of each other. I know for many of us, we're not staying home and staying isolated for our own personal safety, but because of the people who are most vulnerable that we care about. And that's, I mean, it's just a true act of love, I think. And so it's really helping us to learn how to care about one another. We've learned too that we can respond to a crisis incredibly quickly. Now, we could argue all day about whether we responded fast enough or strong enough or what, but the truth is that we did make some huge changes very, very rapidly. And so we know that that is possible. Now, I'm hoping that's not how we approach climate change. Let's not put out the fire, so to speak, of climate change, but let's try to work more strategically and with more intention so we can build up to being able to live a way that really supports our world in a different way. You know, this pandemic is a collective crisis. And so it creates this opportunity to emerge from our homes, to reemerge with the economy in ways that are more life-sustaining and with a lot lower carbon emissions. So I really keep coming back to this idea that we all know of think globally and act locally. So like, what can we do locally to take action here? And I'm gonna pause for a second and see if Lynn, if there were any questions that came up that you'd like me to check in about or comments. No. I can't hear you, but I think you're saying no. Okay, I'll go ahead.
No questions so far. People have just commented as you asked them to about impacts of climate change.
Great. All right. Thank you. So one thing that those of us in Thurston County, I want to make sure that you're all aware of is the creation of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. So this plan is in the process of being created right now. It's due to be finished and completed this summer. And this plan will essentially create a roadmap for our local governments to take strong climate action that will result in lower carbon emissions and stronger, healthier communities. So the plan includes a lot of changes. There's like 200 and some action items, with around 50 being highlighted. And it includes changes on how we use energy, construct buildings, do public transportation, how we use land, even things like how many trees we plant. This is a very extensive plan, and it has some great mile marker goals. So the major goals are to reduce greenhouse gases by 45% by the year 2030, and to reduce them by 85% by the year 2050. And so this is just a really great thing that our community is doing, but we need your help to make sure that this plan not only gets passed, but then also gets implemented and doesn't get put on a shelf somewhere. We got to make sure that our elected officials make this a reality and then do the work to actually make it into, you know, part of how we do business around here. So I'm going to come back to this more later when we're writing our letters, but I'd like to shift gears a little bit right now and talk about butterflies. So in my research for this presentation, I got a new vocabulary word, which is the plural of chrysalis. Does anybody, I don't know, do you know what the plural of chrysalis is? Chrysalis is, I can't even say the one word, but so the plural is chrysalides. So there are many chrysalides in the tree, which I just love. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with the life cycle of the butterfly, right? The butterfly lays an egg, the egg hatches and becomes a caterpillar. The caterpillar grows until it reaches the end of its caterpillar life, and then it builds a home around itself. We call it a cocoon or a chrysalis. And then it undergoes some kind of mysterious transformation and emerges as a butterfly. So, which is just amazing all in itself. But when you start to look deeper, it gets even more and more amazing, and I think becomes just an incredibly apt metaphor for what we are experiencing as a society right now. So the caterpillar, as it's growing, it goes into this huge feeding frenzy. I mean, some species of caterpillars will just strip entire forests of trees and forests of their leaves. They just like eat and eat and eat. And you can ask yourself, does the caterpillar overeat with intentionality or with blind instinct? Who knows? As the caterpillar is beginning to turn into a chrysalis, does it trust that process? Does it know that it's going to become a butterfly, or does it feel like it's dying? I don't know. I know for me, big changes, I often feel like I'm dying, right? I don't always trust that process, even though it tends to work out pretty good. So inside of the chrysalis, the caterpillar, I should say, the tissues melt into a virtually undifferentiated goo, a type of what's called a nutrient soup. And what remains inside of that chrysalis are what scientists called imaginal cells. Now, these imaginal cells are the seeds of the future potential that contain the blueprint of the butterfly. They operate independently and they as single-celled organisms. Now, at first, these imaginal cells, they are regarded as threats, and the caterpillar's immune system actually attacks the cells. The caterpillar's, immune system saying, no, I want to stay a caterpillar. That was just fine. I enjoyed being a caterpillar. That was a good life. I don't know what's on the other side of it. So its immune system is attacking these cells, trying to stop the transformation. But as they persist, they multiply, these imaginal cells, they connect with one another. The imaginal cells, they form clusters and clumps. They begin resonating at the same frequency and passing information back and forth until they hit a tipping point. At this point, they begin acting not as discrete individual cells, but as a multicellular organism, and a butterfly is born. We are in the chrysalis of humanity right now. We are in that imaginal goo. We are the imaginal cells. This pandemic gives us a glimpse, a sneak peek at what we will face with the climate crisis. From this space, from this place where maybe we're afraid, perhaps we're in emotional or spiritual pain, from this space, we don't know, maybe we don't know if we can make next month's rent. From this place, knowing the impact of the climate crisis will be huge, and huger still if we don't act now, from this place, what do you want to see in our collective future? Coronavirus is catastrophic. Like, there's no question about that. And it opens up a new path. I mean, what if the frantic rush hours and like the constant purchasing of items we don't really need and the constant consumer spending, what if that all were to just calm? What if we invested in renewable energy, electric cars, public transportation? What if we spent more time in our gardens and supported local agriculture? What if we stopped funding fossil fuels? Would we be able to create good jobs and improve the health of the planet and our communities? We are the imaginal cells. We are holding that vision for the future that we know we can create. We are in that nutrient soup, transforming in ways we can only guess at. So what can we do from the chrysalides of our own homes? I'd like to take a moment here and imagine this world that we'd like to create together. So I'd ask you to find yourself a comfortable position, perhaps where you're seated with your feet flat on the floor. If it feels comfortable for you to close your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes. And begin to tune into your breathing. Breathing in and out. Take a deep breath, focusing on your heart. Let's see if we can pull ourselves down into that heart space. From this calm place where we're rooted into the earth, what does the future you want to live in look like? How do people move from place to place? What do they prioritize? What's important to us? What's important to you? Where does your food come from? Where do we vacation? What do our homes look like? Our cities? The countryside? Do any colors come to your mind? Shapes? Images? Are there words that stand out? From this place where we're imagining what we want to see, what we believe we can create in the future, what will you commit to doing to make this vision a reality? So just give you a minute here if you want to take any notes on what's come to you. You can write those notes, jot down any images, draw them, write it in the chat box if you feel like sharing. And I'll give you just a minute here if you want to shout something out, put it in the chat box, and I'll ask Lynn if she wants to share anything that's come up.
So one person has said there'll be no homeless people.
Beautiful. We'll have time for more questions and comments in a little bit here. Oh, we have one more. I see more fresh, homegrown gardens. Yeah. Peace, love, caring, compassion. Definitely. So today, we are going to take action together. We are going to create art, and we're going to write words that come from our hearts, from our whole beings. I'm going to just give you a brief rundown of what we are planning on doing here. And then we're going to take a little break for questions. And then if you need to get anything at that time or do anything, that's a good time to do that. So today, what we're going to be doing is we are going to each write a letter to our local governments. And I'll show a template in a little bit to help you walk you through that so you don't have to come up with all of it on your own. We are going to, on the back side of that, create a butterfly art piece. I've got a couple that I've created back here that I'll show you. We are going to take photographs of our letter and our artwork so that you can actually send those to me. And I will print them out and create a larger installation that I don't even know what it's going to be yet. But I will take your art and the visions that we talk about and come up with today to create some kind of installation. It's going to be in its own chrysalis, in incubation, unseen and unknown for now. And then when the time is right, we'll have an art unveiling and we'll come together and we'll celebrate and we'll work together more for that vision to come to reality. I would welcome anybody who is interested if you want to have another meeting, Zoom meeting, and talk about what that installation might look like. I think that would be really fun to do this as a collaborative process. So let me know. You can drop me an email if that's something you're interested in. We'll also then take your letter and artwork and fold it up, put it in an envelope, and stick it in the mailbox and mail it directly to our representatives. Now, to make an impact, we really need a critical mass of letters and artwork. So please do this and send them to me and send them to your representatives. So I'm going to ask you right now to commit to doing this, to commit to doing these things I just said. So you can, type it in the chat box. Yes, you can raise your hand and say, yeah, I'll do it. Give the thumbs up. You can, shout it out to anybody who's in your room. Just like some kind of saying out loud that you commit to doing this. Yes, all right, thank you all so much. Okay, we're gonna take a little bit of wrap up time to wrap this up and have some questions. Yay, I'm seeing lots of yeses come through, woohoo, thank you. What we're doing right now is just so important. I mean, and I know that we're all in different places, different spaces, and we have a lot of different things going on. And so what we are able and available for and to be able to do is going to be different for all of us, and that's totally great. But what we are doing right now is just so important. We need to take advantage of this opportunity while the world is on pause to create and enact our new vision. With the coronavirus, I'm sure the resources in government are dwindling and dwindling. And this is going to be used as a way to say by people in government and other people that we do not have the resources to commit to create the changes we need for the climate crisis. And so that's why we need to make this strong case now about how important it is to take climate action. And I know this can feel like an impossible task, like I'm just one person over here, what can I do? And it can feel like we can't do a lot, but together we can do a lot more, right? And remember, it actually only takes 3.5% of the population working on nonviolent resistance to create serious change in a society. 3.5%. So, I mean, I think that's a doable marker that we can continue to reach for. So,
Imaginal cells combining. The imaginal cells combining.
right, we are the imaginal cells combining to create this new vision and come out as a flying creature, right? So thank you all so much. I'm gonna pause and you can unmute yourselves. We could raise your hand if you have a question, and Lynn's gonna help to get people unmuted so that if you have a question or a comment you wanna make, let's spend just a few minutes on that, and then I'll walk you through how to do, we'll like sit together and we'll write our letters and we'll do the artwork, and I'll walk you through what that looks like. So thank you.
So people can either use the raise the hand function, which is down in the right-hand corner of some of you screens, or you can try raising your physical hand, which I may or may not be able to see depending upon my screen view, or you can write a question into the chat box.
I see, yes, together we can change the world. Woohoo!
Well, I'm not at the moment seeing any hands up. Wave wildly if you're trying to raise your hand. Okay, not seeing any hands up.
All right, well, we will then go ahead and get started on the next part of this where we actually will write our letters. So if you need to grab anything, go ahead and do that. If you need a little break to get some water or use the bathroom, why don't you do that right now. And I'll go through and let you know what materials we're going to start with. Okay. So, as I mentioned, we really appreciate it if you send these in, because the more butterflies, the more images we get, the more we can do and the more we can do together. So my slides are going all over the place. What's going on here? All right, so for the letter, I would ask you to have a piece of 8.5 by 11 inch paper and a dark pen for writing that. You're gonna do your best to write legibly on there. And then the idea is, after you write your letter, which I'll walk you through, flip it over and then you can create your artwork on the back. There are, on our website, there is a way to download some templates. There's a couple to choose from. If you want to go to that, there's a link in a website or in an email that should have gone out to you this morning. You can go right to our website and scroll down and you can click on one of these templates and you can print it out. You can write on the other side. That's totally up to you. You can freehand this as well. So I'm going to walk you through the whole thing, and then we'll go back and we'll start with the letters. So with your letters, I've come up with a format here that I think will be pretty helpful to follow, so you don't have to make it up all on your own. So this will have 3 paragraphs. It'd be great if you can choose which representative you want to send to. It might be based on where you're at. So I live in unincorporated Thurston County, and so I would write my letter to my county representatives. And you also have the opportunity to send it to more than one person, but let's start with that for now. The first paragraph, just really introduce yourself and where you're at. So like, my name is Carrie. I'm in my home right now. I'm feeling really grateful for all I have at this moment and really worried about our future, whatever the case might be. And I'm doing this for the climate. I'm helping to bring people together to take action on the climate. Second paragraph, when I emerge from my home, when we emerge from our chrysalides, I commit to doing these things for the environment. Some examples might be, living more in place, walking, biking, busing, purchasing and driving an electric vehicle, telecommuting, using your vote, but really make this you. This is like, what do you commit to doing for the environment? The third paragraph is what you're asking your representatives to do. And we're specifically hoping that you will ask them to take action, take strong climate action, and pass that Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. You again can make this totally you, like what's important to you, what do you want them to do? And a tip for this is to really try to link what you want them to do with why this is important right now. And I'll put this up again a little bit later so that you can look at this when you're writing your letter. Then you're going to turn your paper over to create your butterfly. I'll show you a few examples. This is one that I've been working on that's in process. So the idea is to, if you can, fill your page with a butterfly, and then you can do whatever you want with that butterfly. So what can you do from the visions you have to put in here to make try to show what you want to see in the future. Now, I decided to do a number of different things, like talking about growing food and solar energy and planting seeds. This is like what this is about. I want to add some more and add some color to this. I did another one just like with a beautiful scene, like I want our world to be beautiful and pure and pristine and salmon and orcas. And if I had more time, I would put people in this as well. Here's a butterfly that an earlier participant did, which really just uses a lot of different colors and patterns and textures, which I think is lovely. And I don't know the person's intention with them all, but I see spirals, I see shapes that look like rivers, and it's just gorgeous. If you're a computer person, you could do this on the computer if you want to. I just grabbed a photo and made a mask in Photoshop to highlight some renewable energy options with this one. Really, this is all about you, right? You can also just paint a beautiful butterfly, just draw a beautiful butterfly. I'm working on one here where I'm just drawing a monarch butterfly because it's totally fine. Whatever you do, whatever your comfort level is, I'd ask you to try to push yourself a little bit, but I want you to really feel like you can accomplish what you set out to do here.
Carrie, I'll show one much less artistic. I just painted yellow, the outline, and then I'm going to cut it out later. So it doesn't matter that I painted over the edges, and I'll probably put little blue eyes like this kind of butterfly has. So if you don't feel like you're artistically talented, there are ways of doing it very simply.
I have a question coming up. Is this supposed to be on plain printer style paper? It's totally up to you what you use. I would just suggest that it's the size that you can fold it up and put it into an envelope. So plain printer paper works fine. I wanted to show you this other example of a student, of what one participant did. Now this person wrote their letter, flipped it over, painted their butterfly, and then held it up to the light. And wow, look at that. And that is absolutely incredible. So that's obviously she used a thinner type of paper, probably a printer paper, and was able to get that effect. If you're able to do that, then great. You can take a picture of that to send to me also. But again, it's any kind of paper you want. If you want to do watercolors and you want to write on one side and then flip it over and use watercolors on watercolor paper, that's great. That's totally up to you. All right, so let's see. What I want to make sure that I touch. So really using colors, words, images. With this one of the monarch that I have here, I'm intending on writing words into all these different spaces about what I want to see in the future. So, hope, sustainable communities, bike riding, whatever I feel like should go in there. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything that you should know. All right, so once you're done with that, then I'm going to ask you to take photographs of your artwork. If you have a smartphone, this makes it really easy. You can just put your a tip would be to put your artwork in a place with lots of natural light, but not direct sunlight, and try to get your camera straight on so that the image and the words aren't skewed. Take a picture of both sides. And if you want to try to put it up to a window or something and see if you can get that transparency effect like that one person did, go ahead and do that. And then you should have an email in your inbox right now with a link as to where to upload those photos. So you can, if you have a smartphone, you take your image right on your camera, open up your email, go to that link, and you just download right onto there. So it makes it super, super simple.
And if people have difficulties with that later, they can email Carrie.
Yes.
And we'll try to help you figure out how to solve the problem if you get stuck.
Right, totally. Yeah, I will try to be available for all of that. And then after you get your pictures taken, that's when you will mail your letter to your local representatives. And I'll have up here later, I'll put this up later, but I'm just going to show you real quick, our local representative addresses. And if you want to make a bigger impact and send it to more than one person, you could photocopy and print out multiple copies, send different physical copies to people. You could use those digital images you took and send an email to people. So you can really spread this as far as you want. It's really going to depend on, you know, your amount of interest and availability to do that. So, and if you aren't local, please look up your own, who you feel like you should send that letter to, and please do this in your own place where you're coming from.
I just wanted to add, Carrie, if people feel like they have limited energy, then please, and are only going to send it to one place, then send it to your city council's overall address. But if you want to do multiples like that, then you can do each of the city councils, or you can look up the members of your city council. So it depends how much time you want to put into it, but you should have a duplicatable piece of art that could go to, you know, every person you want to send it to.
Yeah, totally. And this information with the addresses is also, there's a link, should be in that email that got sent out during this workshop. And our website has all of that information on it under the Chrysalis Projects page. So there's a link to that. So if you don't get this down now, that's available as well. Okay, so I think that it would be great if we go ahead and get started on our letters. I'm going to leave this up for right now. But also, if there are questions about this, let me know, right? So if this is a little unclear, I would love to hear how we can make it more clear.
I thought I'd just add one thing about the plan so people know that while they're writing. So the plan covers things that we can do about buildings. It covers things that we can do about transportation. It covers renewable energy options that we can get much more into place. It covers a little bit about trees and agriculture. So as you're thinking about what you want to say to them, you know, you can sort of be able to comment on that there are things in there that you think are important and valuable and part of a future that we need.
Yeah, and Lynn, is there a good place, where could people go for more information on that?
Well, you know, interestingly enough, although not right around the corner, in 2 weeks, we're going to be having a panel, a webinar panel, where people will be telling about the different things in the plan. So that's definitely one way you can find out more. That's still 2 weeks out, but.
Great, thanks. And I was gonna say too, yeah, there's a lot of ways if you want to take further action, aside from what you're doing right now, get involved with Thurston Climate Action Team. We're doing a lot of work around climate action in the community, and there's lots of ways to get involved by joining different action groups or volunteering in different ways. So please reach out to me or Lynn if you're interested or just want more information about that.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like I can see people look like you're hard at work there. And I know a couple of you have already done letters, and so feel free to write another one if you have that motivation. Maybe you're feeling a little differently today. Maybe you want to send it to somebody else, or just make another piece of artwork.
Tom is also pointing out that people can go to the TCAP website for more information on the plan through our Carbon-Free Thurston campaign. So that's a particular tab on the website.
Great, thanks, Tom.
One person has asked if the plan includes taking out the Fifth Avenue Dam, and the answer to that is no. That is apparently something you would have to be advocating for additionally, but that has not made it into the plan. So somebody else is saying, should we be saying specific names in the opening of the letter, like council person so-and-so? That comes down to you know, how you want to use your piece of art. Like, do you want to make a piece of art for different representatives? Do you want to, you know, print onto one piece, you know, have your piece of art that you can duplicate and print letters onto the other side where you could change the names? If you are intending to just send it to the whole city council, then you could say, greetings, council members. So however you want to salute them, and however many of these you intend to make.
And I'm not sure if you just said this, Lynn, but our website, the link in your email, also has a list of all the names of the council members and commissioners,
Yeah, the individual ones.
the individual ones. Yeah. Yeah, I think if anybody has anything to say, just go ahead and unmute yourself at this point. Any comments or thoughts as we go along? Otherwise, I'm gonna get myself busy working here too.
Sheila, are they set right now where they can unmute themselves? You're muted, Sheila.
Yeah, people should be able to unmute themselves.
Great.
I've got to find my water glass.
I think we should share this with everybody we know. Get everyone to write letters.
Let's.
Does anyone feel like sharing artistic ideas that they have about what they're going to try to do artistically?
I'd love to hear that too.
Well, that's making people shy.
I'd love to share actually an image I saw the other day. I was in a workshop, a Zoom workshop, and the presenter showed an image of a person swimming in the water with a shark with COVID-19 on it coming up to eat the person. And behind that shark was another shark, which was labeled, that was bigger, which was labeled the economic crisis. And behind that shark was an even giant shark coming up that was labeled the climate crisis. And I thought that was just so powerful.
It's so true. So as people are thinking about where they might want to target this, I will just mention there are 2 climate deniers on the Lake City, on the Lacey City Council. I can't tell you who they are, I just know there are 2. And also we're having a little problem right now with Commissioner Edwards of the County Council. He yesterday sent a communication to the steering committee that's responsible for passing this plan, saying, oh, you know, we've got all these COVID problems, let's just put the plan on hold. And luckily, the rest of the steering committee did not agree with that idea, but it does appear that that Commissioner Edwards needs a little additional encouragement from us. So just a thought as you're trying to figure out how you want to target things. I don't want all of these to go to him. I don't know that he deserves all of your beautiful artwork, but definitely if you're making multiple ones, make sure that he gets it.
I also wanted to share for anybody who's drawn to sending something to Commissioner Edwards is he talks a lot about how children are the future. And so that might be a really compelling talking point for him.
You know, Carrie, I was looking for something I wrote when I was doing art camp with kids in Skagit County over the last 26 years in the summer. and I wrote a transformation song. Would you like to hear it?
Sure.
Oh,
Like right now?
yeah,
Yeah, totally. I would love to hear it.
it's called Transformation Song. I wrote it in 2010.
Great.
As Earth is ever changing, so we are changing too. And so we are transforming as we are born to do. The stars at night to guide us, the sun to keep us warm, all life around us moving as we all transform. Like creatures of the earth and skies, like creatures in the sea, so we are always growing, transforming just like these. The changes make us stronger. We hope they make us wise. The changes we are living are right before our eyes. As Earth is ever changing, so we are changing too. And so we are transforming, as we are born to do, as we are born to do.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Holly.
You're welcome. Kids helped me write that.
Oh, Paul, can we unmute you so that you can be the active speaker and we can see you better?
Let me unmute him.
There you go. Oh.
Here. Wait. There. Okay, he's unmuted.
Paul, will you tell us what you got?
Well, I didn't spend a lot of time on this, I will say. I spent more time on the letter.
That's
So
great.
I enjoyed doing that. And since I know each of the commissioners, I personalized it. And then this, it was just fun. But the message I put in was, like the arduous path of the butterfly from caterpillar to flight, we can do this.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Beautiful. Great.
Does anybody else? And
Wow.
It was also mine too. Mine's not 100% finished yet, but
Say who you are.
I'm Sarah Holtnox, and so
beautiful.
Thank you for providing this opportunity to do art together. It's really lovely.
Thank you so much for being here. I loved that you put the whole transition in your piece. Lovely.
You inspired me.
Anybody else have something they'd like to share? It's so much fun to see these. I see Darishma. I didn't even know you were there. See if I can unmute you. You don't seem to be able to unmute you.
There we go.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to see, but I'm not done yet. I'm trying to do a Hogel culture mountain here.
Oh, what?
A Hogel culture mountain. It's like it's a way of planting in garden. And then I'm gonna put people on my beach here.
Awesome. Very cool. I can't wait to see it all completed. Yay. And I learned a new word. There you go, Brisa. I think you're up.
I don't know if you can see it. It's pretty light right now.
Not very well.
Okay. Well, it's a butterfly, and I'm trying to draw this utopia with solar and wind power and animals. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see it. Rainieri, did you want to share?
Well, first of all, this whole thought process is just blown my head, and I've made it personal about how am I accountable and what am I responsible and what am I going to do? And so that's got my head spinning, but I got out my printer paper and I said, that just won't do. So I found a scrap piece of handmade paper. And so I started designing my monarch butterfly on this side, but I'm going to use words so that I can take what's going on in here and make it, from here to here, so I can understand better what I'm thinking and what I want to promise to do, make that promise to me, what I wanted to do to help. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and for sharing your process around that too. I appreciate that.
This is just a draft, but I'm doing a butterfly in front of a tree.
Nice.
I'm gonna add it to the actual letter. This is just a different piece of paper for now.
Very cool. Was that some of your artwork behind you, Evan?
Yeah, that's from elementary school, I think.
Right on.
I had an art program there.
Thanks.
I have improved the butterfly over its previous rendition.
Great. And I've started to add some words to mine, to this one. Love and kindness and affordable housing and things. And keep working on that.
I put some footprints down here to represent ecological footprints of humans and animals as well. And then some like raised garden beds and an apple tree and plant, and then heart for that.
I love that. I love the footprints. I never would have thought of that. It's beautiful. This was great. Is that the sun shining in the middle, Michelle? That's supposed to be the sun shining in the middle. I love it. Thank you.
Yes. I don't have any artwork to share, but I have a poem that I wrote that I think I'm going to include in my letters.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay. Climate crisis. A frightening, scary mess. An unwanted inheritance offloaded on us by our elders, our supposed protectors. An uncertain future made worse by people we call leaders, unwilling to act. Rivers drying, animals dying, children crying, why won't you protect us? You have all the tools. Listen to the science. You have the power to save us, yet still you say no. But now we are awakening and we are screaming back, no, you will not take our future. Bright, happy, hopeful, harmonious, sustainable, attainable.
Wow. Thank you. You totally brought tears to my eyes. My whole body was all tingly.
So here's mine.
Lovely.
I don't know what exactly to say about it. It just, I don't know, it just looks cool.
Just so, as I know people are leaving, thank you so much for being here again and for taking this action with us together. It really makes a lot of, it makes me feel great to know that we can do this together. And while we can't be doing the procession today, we can at least be making art and doing our piece to create this future that we really can thrive in. So thank you.
Hey, Carrie, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I didn't know how well it would go, but the way you drew us in and got us doing it on while sitting on a Zoom, that was very cool. Thanks. And I think it'll make an impression on the elected officials. So good organizing.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Carrie. Very creative. Excellent organizing.
Thank you very much.
I'm not going to get anywhere near finished with this right now, but because I have to get going. But I've been making a paper cut, and it's like this.
Beautiful.
This far with the white background. But I'm thinking of printing out a picture of the Earth and then putting it behind it. So that's
cool.
You ought to charge the representatives money for that if you send it in.
I think I'm going to make a print of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, keep your original, Jennifer.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Really, and that is an option for people. You could make a copy if you want to keep your original as well. Yeah.
I agree. I think it's been really heartwarming to see all these creative, inspired people hard at work doing something that can sometimes feel like a chore, but adding the art and really tapping into a deeper inspiration just put such a lovely twist on it. Mine's not done and it's watercolor, so I don't want to hold it up too much, but I'm having a lot of fun with this. Thank you.
Great. So I've added a few words to mine. It's not quite done yet, but just some words of what would I want to see in the future for this one.
Beautiful.
It's been really awesome
awesome. I'm working on it. I
Nice.
don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
I'm going to include the quote from Arundhati Roy about another world is not only possible, she's on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing, and it's on my letter. So. Awesome.
Thank you. Really nice to see you, Janine.
Gotta get going too, but I'm not finished. I'll have to work on it a little bit more later.
Well, I know you will. Oh, it's looking beautiful. I love it.
Got a little windmill in there. Some solar power. So
Nice. Can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
It was great to be a part of something with the community, even though we're all so far away. So thank you again. You're awesome.
Right back at you.
I just want to say what an amazing experience this has been, and all the unbelievable artwork and thoughts and heart and soul that people have put in just this morning. It's just incredible, and the amazing talent, and it's just I think this is going to have a huge impact on our elected officials and the beginning of a really huge impact on our community. So I want to thank those who are still here. Thank you for your amazing contributions and participation.
Thanks, Tom. Brisa, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, well, like other people have been saying, this is really special. It's nice connecting with people and being creative, and for something, you know, for a goal that it's good, like having a goal and like pursuing it with other people and being connected. It's motivating. So yeah, thank you. This was like a really good idea, and it was really fun.
Thanks, Brisa. I'm so glad you were able to be here. Did your dad make some artwork too?
No, not yet. He's making his letter.
Oh, cool.
He will.
I will.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm one of the last ones left.
All good. No time limit. Hold it back just a little. I can't. Nice. Yeah, I can't see it real clearly, but it looked like birds and crops maybe in there.
Wow, yeah, I think what you're saying is I was trying to do windmills after that last person said windmills. Like, oh, great idea. Oh, I just have a community with solar panels and an electric tram going through and people on bicycles and a big garden in the middle of this town and river and mountains. And then in the lower corner, I was going to put some, words of poetry, action, etc. Yeah, I'm not a drawer, so it looks sort of like a kid's drawing.
Perfect.
It was fun.
Great. Thanks, Robin.
Yeah. Thank you, Carrie. That was great. I enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad you were able to be here.
Yeah.
Fine in progress because you're going to say goodbye. It's pretty awful, but I'm judging my own work. But it's got words, and they say things like onomatopoeia. There's H, there's Y, there's P, and there's N, and words like.
Can you read it? I can't really see the words.
I know. I don't expect you to. I'll just send them to you. But it's the medium. The media are marker and chalk pastels, a last-minute event. But I'll send this to you later, and it's really nice to have been here. Thanks, Carrie. It's hard to say goodbye. I realize, it's really nice to be in community.
Yeah.
It's been a while, and I'm grateful, so grateful. And it's good to see you doing the things you do so well and carrying on. How's your
Jen, we're going to end the meeting. Did you have anything you wanted to say or share before I end us all on Zoom? Oh, you're still muted, I think.
Thank you so much. Appreciated it. Loved it.
Do you have anything to share? Did you write something?
I did. I have my butterfly. And I wrote a letter. And in the middle of the butterfly, I just wrote one of the stanzas from a larger poem. And it says, together, all together now while we're apart, transforming into beauty, transforming into art. Build a fire with your passions, plant the future, heal the past, creating change in all of us, change that will last.
Nice.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I look forward to seeing these all come through. What a gift. Thank you all so much. My heart is very full. I really appreciate this.
Thank you, Carrie. Bye.
Let's continue to
Bye,
create the
everybody.
world we want together.
We got it in our hearts.
Bye.
Bye.